The flame red is still one of my favorite colors all these years later. It just pops, it's bright, it's fun, it's just a really nice color. As far as the interior goes on these 2025 models, it's more of the same. I mean, this is what we've been used to now for the last 5 or 6 years on these DT platform trucks, so they haven't really changed a lot. There's a couple of things I noticed, like for example, the rear view mirror up there has a display built into it now. This Bighorn had adaptive cruise control on it now, and there's a couple of things that they've tweaked and changed, but again, the main theme here is just that everything's pretty much the same on the interior of the truck. You got the in-floor storage bins there is what I was trying to say, power sliding glass and all that. The front console still works the same. This particular Bighorn had the wireless phone charger right there, which I hadn't seen in prior years. But everything else works the same. Still got the same cavernous amount of storage. The lid still flips the same way. So, I mean, it's just more of the same. If you're familiar with these DT Rams, you're going to be right at home here because, I keep saying this, but I mean, they just haven't really changed a lot. This one has over 1,700 pounds of payload, which I thought was really good for a half-ton truck. So that's kind of impressive. It's a beautiful truck. Look at this, that flame red paint with the night package. It's just a really great combo. But here's the story for 2025. It's the new powertrain. This is the i6 twin turbo Hurricane engine. This is the big deal for 2025. You got an all new engine that we hadn't seen before in the Rams that we've been waiting on for a couple of years. So I got the opportunity to drive it. Yeah, so I just had the opportunity to drive the new 2025 Ram 1500 with the new 3-liter Hurricane straight 6 twin turbo engine in it. And unfortunately, I didn't have an opportunity to get video of us actually driving it down the road. But I can give you my thoughts on it anyway and let you know what I thought of it. It's like the video's kind of dark here. It's a cloudy day, but anyway, so here's what I think about it. So first of all, it was really quiet. I can't believe how quiet those new trucks are. That new engine, they've got that thing dialed in perfectly when it comes to NVH, the noise and vibration and harshness. There is none in that new 25 Ram. That thing is as smooth as silk. Extremely quiet. Way more quiet even than the 2022 model Laramie that I had. Just a super quiet and smooth pickup truck. So I'll give them credit for that. As far as power goes, how does the engine feel compared to the Hemi V8? It was kind of interesting. When you get on it, you can tell it's got a little bit more power than the Hemi. It does feel just a little bit stronger than the Hemi, but you got to really get on it. In that first half of the pedal travel, that first, say, 50% throttle, it really didn't impress me. It felt kind of lethargic, and I'm sure that's probably because of the programming. I'm sure they have that thing tuned to where it'll return the best fuel economy possible. But for whatever reason, it just feels kind of lethargic to me down on the bottom end. And the thing that's interesting about that is that was supposed to be one of the calling cards of that twin turbo engine, is that it was supposed to make a whole bunch of torque down low, right? But it doesn't feel that way at all. Now, mind you, the truck I drove had 355 axle gears in it. My last Ram with the Hemi had 321 axle gears, okay? So this truck I just drove, this 25 I just drove, has more horsepower on paper, more torque on paper, better axle gearing, and it's got the same transmission. So in theory, that 25 that I just drove, it should have felt noticeably stronger than the Hemi trucks, but it really did not. Like I said, when you really get on it, it does feel like it's got good power, but who wants to drive around all the time hammering the throttle, right? Nobody wants to do that. This video keeps getting darker and darker, I think. But anyway, Just can't get good lighting in here today. Not that it matters, but so anyhow, it's an interesting thing. The way that it drove, it just felt different. It's really hard to describe that part of it. You know, the Hemi truck with the 8-speed is just smooth, shifts through all the gears great. The power is, this is the best way I can put it. The Hemi power is very linear. You know, as you press the throttle, you get that linear power that matches your throttle input, if that makes any sense. So I really like that about the one that I had. Now these new 25s don't seem to drive that way to me. You know, it's not as linear, and part of that's probably because it's a turbo engine, but maybe part of it's the programming, I don't know. But it's just not quite as linear. Overall, I got the impression that I could live with the new engine just fine. I could probably get used to it. It would probably be just fine. It's got enough power to do what I would need to do. If I was going to buy a truck like that, I wouldn't have a problem with the power. I'm sure the fuel economy is okay. Like we talked about before, it's not better. Okay, you're not going to get better fuel economy. The rating only went up by 1 mpg, and in the real world, those turbo engines get worse mpg than a V8. But it would probably be okay. So the power's okay, mpg's okay. I guess the question is, if you're going to buy a brand new truck, if you're going to build a brand new truck as an automaker, should you settle for okay? I guess that's the question, and I don't think so, you know. So personally, if I was going to get back into a Ram truck right now, I would try to search for a 24. I would try to find a leftover 24, because I still think the overall driving experience is better with the Hemi. And that's an honest opinion. I'm not trying to be biased here, you know. I've driven both now. I really feel like the Hemi just drives better. It just has a smoother, more linear power output, and it just drives better. And obviously it sounds a lot better, which makes it more fun to drive. So anyway, so enough of the powertrain. What about the rest of the truck? Well, they've added a lot of things to the Bighorn package that were pretty cool. You know, it's got things like that display in the rear view mirror now. It had adaptive cruise control, which I would really like. They've kind of dressed up the interior a little more for 25. However, it's reflected in the price, so it's not like you're getting stuff for free. I guess the biggest thing to talk about with the 25s is the quality controls. You know, there's a guy that runs a YouTube channel. He goes by Butter the Insider. You've probably seen him if you're a Mopar guy. Butter the Insider did a video the other day talking about the quality control issues inside the Ram and the Jeep Wagoneer plants. You know, and the UAW workers have talked a lot about the stuff that's going on that is out of their control. Like it's out of their control. They've noticed these quality issues and they don't like it either, but Stellantis, the parent company, has just kind of taken it out of their control, and there's stuff going on that they can't do anything about, you know, and there's just terrible quality on these new 25 Rams and the Jeep Wagoneers. And then the following day, I see a video by Matt Marin. I might have pronounced his name wrong. Is it Moran or is it Marin? I don't know. Matt Marin has a lot of subscribers, and he spends a lot of time reviewing vehicles. Well, he was driving the 25 Ram 1500 the other day, and he had all kinds of problems with it. Cruise control completely stopped working, and there's some other things going on. Just electrical nightmare, right? So I got to thinking, that's kind of interesting. You know, it's the second video in a row I've seen on these Ram 2500, 1500s for the 2025 model year where quality is an issue. Well, this truck I just drove, that red truck I just drove, as soon as we took off down the street, I immediately noticed it had horrible wind noise coming from around the windshield. And the salesman thought, well, there's just a door open somewhere. So at the first red light, we all opened the doors, closed the doors real good. Nope. It's a noise coming from around the windshield. Kind of sounded like if you're sitting next to an aquarium, you know, you got that constant burbling noise. That's what it sounded like. And as we got onto the higher speed limit roads, it got worse, as you would expect. So there's some kind of a terrible leak around that windshield. Now, I don't know, when it rains real heavy, is that going to also be a water leak? Or is it just an air leak? I don't know, obviously. But it concerns me that on a brand new truck, you've got that horrible wind noise, which is obviously some kind of an air leak around the windshield. So, man, I tell you what, it's really starting to look like these 25 Ram 1500s. The quality has gone downhill on them, which also makes me wonder if it would be worth buying one of those. I don't know. The truck is a great looking truck. I still think they have awesome interiors in them. I'm just not 100% sold on that Hurricane straight six. You know, it didn't drive as good as I would have expected for an all new powertrain. And the quality control issues, man, it's kind of scary. Now, I think the dealership would work with whoever bought that truck. You know, they'd work with them and they would probably agree to get the windshield fixed, try to reseal it or whatever. I'm sure that wouldn't be a problem. You know, those guys down there at Bob Allen, they're pretty awesome. I've dealt with them for years, and it's always great to work with those guys down there. So I'm sure that wouldn't be a problem. It's just, why are these things coming off of the assembly line with these problems to start with, you know? So anyway, you know, I've shot a couple of videos with my thoughts on the new 25s, you know, and this new powertrain, but this was the first time I got to actually experience it myself. And it kind of confirmed some of my suspicions, which is that Ram has not taken a step forward with these new trucks. They've actually gone backward a little bit, in my opinion. Just my opinion. So their sales seem to reflect that also, because for the first quarter of this year, they showed the worst sales figures. You know, I guess the biggest percentage of losses, is one way to put it, of any brand in America. So there you go. Anyway, hopefully if you bought a 2025 Ram 1500, you've had better luck with it. Post a comment, let us know. But that's just my thoughts on it. I got to drive one today. It was all right, but it was just all right. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, I'm gonna head on down the road. Got some stuff to do. We'll talk to you later.